Hello, this is the Cherry Podcast, and welcome. In today's podcast, the main topic will be how people face the issue of deciding and impulsive thoughts in general. Now, what I mean by this is it's actually it's a very common struggle many people face these days, and that is dealing with their impulsive thoughts. Um, Excuse me. Many people have an issue with trying to decide what they want. And sometimes they also decide it on a whim, not even thinking about the other option, not even considering it, which later on they feel that they regret, or when later on they regret it rather than feel. And this can be in situations where you choose what you want to do in the future, what you're going to buy, what you're investing in, anything. And making a decision is clearly much more rushed and not considered as much compared to people in the time of the 20th century, the 19th century. I feel like decisions were considered more carefully back then, because each decision they made, they truly looked into what would develop their future. At today's time, all we do for a decision is to just get something done with, whether it is our interests, whether it is our wants, whether it is our necessities. We just get it done with. We don't consider what it can do for us. We want to get it done. We want it conveniently gone out of the way. And this is something that's developed as a characteristic. This may sound far-fetched, but the dopamine level released by watching all the social media, scrolling endlessly for hours and staring at your phone, you're always in this flux of constantly losing focus, and you can only focus on that short video that comes up, and then you just go to the next one. You can't be patient, you can't wait. And imagine that you're exposed to this constant loop and flux of scrolling these short videos, and slowly over time your patience itself deteriorates, and your own reasoning of thought would become null in some way. And what this does is it just makes you more rushed when making decisions. You just get it done with because you're used to this dopamine quick. You're used to this quick dopamine that you think that it's going to go around the same, that your decisions are going to be the same, whatever you say is going to be the same. You want to get it done with. The day goes quicker and quicker and quicker like that. So this rushed lifestyle itself, this rushed exposure to dopamine, is what is a main root cause of us losing focus into making a proper decision or considering a decision at all, because we want to get it done with. We don't consider the other option. And there are so many people out there now who have regrets to decisions they made, and these are the types of people that made decisions really quickly without even considering the other option. And that is something they regretted because they didn't consider it enough, they didn't look into it enough. And another common one is investments. Well, that is where a lot of people regret. On the bright side, and the bright shiny light of investment, you see the people who get their money, who get a large amount back, and they were able to outnumber their initial investment, and they are happy. They're satisfied for that one investment that went well. But there are many others who try to invest and they didn't do enough research. Their decision was so quick, they just put it in, they thought they'd make money, but they didn't, because they didn't do or consider this decision of what they were going to do. They didn't evaluate the opportunity cost it would cost them. They didn't evaluate how they could get that at a probability higher than what they did when they just put it. And that's what regret is. They regretted that action itself. But what's that cause? Why did they do it so quick? It's because now people are getting used to this really rushed decision process making. But this is only the impulsive side of things. The other issue is not being able to choose between two options or multiple. And that is a huge problem as well. I would say there are many cool things products, services in our society in the modern day. And that makes it all the more harder for you to decide what is it that you want in that selection, or what is it that you don't want. Because while there are many products and services that are like useful, there are also useless ones, and they only simply satisfy wants. They do not help at all needs. So for your laptops, it's actually a double-edged sword. Laptop can be very useful in terms of accessing internet, doing your work, getting all that organized and done. And it's a double-edged sword because there are games you can play on a laptop. There are multiple distractions where you can download movies, you can download music, and have all of this for entertainment's sake that does not develop anything for you, does not consider it or help you in any way in the future. So when you have all this, movies, music, social media on your laptop, which is a bit weird, but gaming especially, gaming is the main one here. Gaming is the biggest addiction ever, and it is a double-edged sword because gaming completely satisfies your wants and makes your life harder if you get addicted to it, because there are many games that exploit players by creating an in-game currency, and you have to pay real money if you want to get that currency. The reason why people will buy that is because the free way to get it is probably by doing some quests or doing some events or some sort, but you don't get that much. You only get for a little item you can buy or something like that. It depends on the game, really. But if you pay for it, it's very quick, it's very efficient. You can get what you want right away, and it's not a problem at all. So imagine that addiction itself, if you are completely fueled by the desire that you want what is in front of you in that game, you will be surprised at the fact that you're going to click that button and pay for that. Because that is how strong the addiction is. And this is another factor that can fall into making decisions. If someone is addicted to something, they will definitely make regretful purchases in current time and then regret it later. One of those addictions is gaming. If they decide to buy something now where it was worth $1,000 or maybe $500 on in-game currency, and then they used it all up, as soon as you click the purchase button, it is not coming back. It is not a value that appreciates, nor is it a value that is returnable, unless there is a special service within the game itself to get it back. But if you spend that cash in the game already, you're not getting it back. It is simply impossible. And that is what the root of many regrets comes from. Many people regret that decision itself, that they buy that, because that was a lot. That like $1,000 is a lot. $500 is a lot. If you're just gonna spend it online and not return, like you don't expect anything in return, in an actual amount, you don't get anything back. All you're doing is satisfying your wants in a virtual world that does not physically give you, that does not tangibly give you anything. And that is why a computer can be a double-edged sword when it comes to doing useful and useless stuff. Well, this is the truth of some situations. A laptop, we can perceive it as a device that can do anything. Access the internet, go to social media, take some pictures, download music, download movies, podcasts. It can do a lot. And it is probably the most powerful type of device in our current time accessible to the public. Other types of devices are phones, or iPads, tablets, earpods. I really don't know what else to say, but they are useful, but they can also be double-edged swords and make us more distracted to what we want to do. And they also are a source of dopamine. So we all have to be very careful with how we decide to spend our time, because it influences us eventually and worsens our situation to making decisions, in the situation of impulsive decisions or not even being able to choose. And then, now let me talk a bit more about not being able to choose. So let's say you go into a store and you see a whole lot of appliances and you're like, I want to buy something for Christmas. Let's say it's Christmas. I want to buy something for Christmas. You have absolutely no idea what you want because you see a laptop next to an iPad, next to a phone, all around the same price. If that's the case, they're all around the same price. And then you see a PS5. In your normal mind itself, I hope so, it is like this. You look at that and you're like, what do I get? And you just wonder for a good few minutes, what do I get? Unless you had before that, you had a thought process before and you were choosing and seeing, deciding. Maybe it takes you months, because it takes me about a month to make a decision when I look into purchasing something. Especially when I buy something like a laptop, I really need to look into what I'm dealing with here. Like, will it last long? And the cost comparisons, the features of the laptop, what is better over the other, and then I buy it. And that takes time to do research, because it's not just one thing that I'm looking at multiple. If you just went into the store and you see all that, you are definitely going to be very, very, I believe, indecisive. Yeah, indecisive. You'll be very indecisive. You have no idea what you're going to buy, because you have all these options all around the same price, same functionality, basically. All can satisfy your wants. All is a source of dopamine. Extremely fun. Helps you connect with other people. All these thoughts will go through and you just cannot make a decision. That's why you can't make it, because you have all these thoughts and you know that all of them satisfy it. But maybe the PS5 is it's a console. And it's not something like a PC where you can just access the internet, download it from there for free games and everything. Not really, no. And your phone, well, it's not as powerful as a laptop nor a PS5. Your iPad depends, really. And so, yeah, no, you have no idea what to pick. And then you just look to your left and you see some crazy technology that satisfies your complete curiosity, and that itself is what you want. But then you look back at the devices and you're like, oh, what do I really want that as well? So that indecisiveness just does not help when you just walk into the store. And in today's modern time, we have so much technology, we have so many devices that does just that. If we went to the past to look into a shop, it'd be much easier. We think about what we want, we go in and we get it. But if you go into a shop nowadays, you might think you want one thing, but then you see a whole lot of options. You have no idea what to choose, because there's so many varieties of technology out there. There's so many varieties of appliances that you didn't think existed, and now they're there. And that's why, be careful, because that will cause your indecisiveness. That will also cause impulses to buy stuff. And advertising is a very common thing in a store. So you can just see one advertisement for a product, you're gonna be thinking about it all day long. And that is another main root cause of thoughts and everything. So what's a common thing we can do? Do our research beforehand. Resist these advertising hooks that catch us on our interest like that. We just try to avoid that. We consider, we see what it is, do our research when we get back. We don't go into the store, buy right away and go, unless you have a lot of disposable income. That's fine. But no, if you don't do that. Please don't do that, because you're going to regret that decision. So always want to do prior research. Always want to make sure you're comparing the features and seeing what's best for you and what's best for lasting long. Because we're trying to use this for long term, not short term. So this is how you go over your indecisiveness itself, your impulsive thoughts and indecisiveness, choosing between two things. All these sorts of decisions and choosing your future as well, you have to consider and take your time with it. Especially when your future comes into play, with all this education systems pushed out at a young age. At 18 or 17 or 16, you are already graduating to college. You are in a situation where you have to be like, okay, what do I do? What do I want to study for the future? And it might not even be what you want to do in the future. So my best advice is, don't worry about it. Right now, stay calm, see what you're interested in doing, do your research in that, see the cost it takes, go through the course. If that's not what you wanted, see what else you can do. What other options can you look for from what you studied? And that's how you deal with it.